else's romance. But even with 5 years of knowledge of each other, of living under the same spacious, well-ordered roof, he still exerted the original charm, the original fascination for her. That had been his footstep in the hall. She knew it without conscious thought. It was there, part of her life. Listening for him, seeing him first in a crowd, knowing where he was in the room, remembering whatever he said, even trivial things. She had come to terms with it. Dominic had always been out of reach. It wasn't as if he had ever cared for her, or could have done. She hadn't expected it. One day, perhaps, she would meet someone she could like and respect, someone suitable, and Mother would speak with him, see that he was socially and personally acceptable, and, of course, Father would make the other arrangements, whatever they were, as he had done with Dominic and Sarah, and no doubt would do with Emily and someone in due course. It wasn't something she wished to think about, but it remained permanently in the future. The present was Dominic, this house, her parents, Emily and Sarah, and Grandmamma. The present was Aunt Susanna coming to tea in 2 hours' time, and the fact that the footsteps in the hall had gone away again, leaving her free to take another quick look at the newspaper. Her mother came in a few moments later, so quietly Charlotte didn't hear her. Charlotte? It was too late to hide what she was doing. She lowered the paper and looked into her mother's brown eyes. "Yes, Mamma." It was an admission. "You know how your father feels about your looking at those things." She glanced at the folded paper in Charlotte's hand. "I can't imagine why you want to. There's very little in them that's pleasant, and your father will read those things out to us. But if you must look at it for yourself, at least do it discreetly in Maddox's pantry, or get Dominic to tell you." Charlotte felt the colour flood her face. She looked away. She had had no idea her mother knew about Maddox's pantry, even less about Dominic. Had Dominic told her? Why should that thought hurt, like a betrayal? That was ridiculous. She could have no secrets with Dominic. What had she let herself imagine? "Yes, of course, Mamma. I'm sorry." She dropped the paper behind her onto the table. "I shan't let Papa catch me." "If you want to read, why don't you read books? There's something of Mr. Dickens in the bookcase over there, and I'm sure you haven't read Mr. Disraeli's Coningsby yet." Funny how people always say they are sure when they mean they are not sure. "Mr. Disraeli died yesterday," Charlotte replied. "I wouldn't enjoy it. Not just at the moment." "Mr. Disraeli? Oh, dear, I am sorry. I never cared for Mr. Gladstone, but don't tell your father. He always reminds me of the vicar." Charlotte felt disposed to giggle. "Don't you like the vicar, Mamma?" Her mother composed herself immediately. "Yes, of course I do. Now, please go and prepare yourself for tea. Have you forgotten Aunt Susanna is coming to call on us this afternoon?" "But not for an hour and a half at the soonest," Charlotte protested. "Then do some embroidery, or add some more to that painting you were working on yesterday." "It didn't go right." "Grammar, Charlotte. It didn't go well." "I'm sorry. Perhaps you'd better finish the comforters so you can take them to the vicar's wife tomorrow. I promised we would deliver them." "Do you suppose they really comfort the poor?" It was a sincere question. "I've no idea." Her mother's face relaxed slightly as the thought occurred to her, obviously for the first time. "I don't think I've ever known anyone really poor, but the vicar assures us they do, and we must presume he knows. Even if we don't like him very much. Charlotte, please don't be impertinent." But there was nothing harsh in her voice. She had been caught in an unintentional truth, and she didn't resent it. She was annoyed with herself, perhaps, but not with Charlotte. Obediently, Charlotte left the room to go upstairs. She might as well finish the comforters. It would have to be done sometime. Tea was served by Dora, the kitchen maid, in the withdrawing room. Tea was the most erratic